NZ Aerosports, Icarus canopies, now Gyro. That's right, we've rebranded, and Gyro is our next generation. It honours our founder, as that's the name we knew him by, but Gyro also marks the start of a new chapter. And not to be biased, but it's going to be fucking epic. Long story short, we're more us than ever, so if you're new to the sport, or even a Sky God Ninja Turtle, welcome. I think our valiant leader Lucy, Gyro's daughter, says it best.
And we still got that fuck yeah attitude. Rebrand! Woo!
Rebrand woo indeed, Lucy. Anyway, head over to gyro.com for more info and get amongst you legends.
I was 19, broke, unemployed, and sold my girlfriend's canopy for drug money. So I thought I better sew her a new one. What a sentence, and what a story. This describes the humble yet outrageous beginnings of NZ Aerosports, the home of Icarus canopies, in the words of our founder himself. From getting a paratrooper toy from his mom, watching parachutes at the DZ as a 6-year-old, jumping off the wharf with a parachute made from bed sheets, doing his first jump at 16, sewing his first canopy on a borrowed machine at 19, and starting to sell parachutes out of a garage in 1986, Paul Gyro Martin had an undying love for the sky. Our company started with one man with the wildest of spirits and a true blue sky dream, a renegade. In the time that Gyro created and ran the Icarus Canopies brand until he passed away in 2017, he pushed everything he had to its limits. We miss him, and we always will. Gyro is the next generation of NZ Aerosports. It honors our founder, of course, because it was the name we all knew him by, but Gyro the rebrand also marks the start of a new chapter, our next jump. Gyro is the space between sound and silence, art and science, chaos and calm. Gyro is a state of epic tranquility that transcends understanding. That moment, in the door, in free fall, mid-swoop, where nothing but the present exists. A perfect balance of euphoria and thrill. Gyro captures our passion for flying and our commitment to designing break-the-fucking-rules canopies that deliver pilots pure, wild flight. Hey gang, so I got a new book out. It's called The Upside of Fear, and it's exactly what you think it's about. It's about the good side of, well, getting scared. In it, we talk not only about the science and biology behind fear, but the psychology as well. And it's not just coming from me, it's coming from some of the best in the sport. Omar Alhigelan, Jeff Provenzano, Maxine Tate, and so many more have contributed their sometimes terrifying stories to the book to help you overcome your fear. So head to the lunaticfringepodcast.com. You're going to find the link to the book there, as well as the other books. It's available in ebook, paperback, hardback, and audiobook right now.
Coming straight from the cockpit, it's another episode of Lunatic Fringe with the fucking pilot.
Ready, set, go! All right, back in the can for another edition of Lunatic Fringe Into the Void, and straight into it. Let's go. Who the fuck are you, and what do you do?
My name is Moe Viletto. I am the owner and sole operator of Tailored for Survival, which is specializing in the design and sewing of life support systems.
The design and sewing of life support systems. All right, you're going to have to expand on that before we get too far. Tell me about life support systems.
Well, I didn't want to lock myself into like Moe's parachutes only. I enjoy designing and coming up with different things. For example, I had a project I did for the military. Do you know what a maple seed is that falls out of the tree? It's a little seed with a wing on it, and we called them helicopters as kids.
Sure.
I was building these for the military, or doing prototypes. They're about 3 feet long. They were made out of Kevlar. And for the seed, they had a special magic piece of metal. And they only gave me a block of wood because it was top secret, whatever that metal was. Uh, they would drop these things from aircraft by the hundreds or shoot them up with cannons, and they had a computerized brain on it. And these things would spin at 30,000 hertz, and the little computer would guide this thing into like tanks and jeeps and things like that. And the fact that it's spinning so fast, that piece of metal just tears everything up like a drill. It just throws shrapnel everywhere.
Jesus.
So when they brought this to me, they were having issues. They were testing these things out in a wind tunnel. So they'd get this thing started with an electric drill, and they would stand in the wind tunnel with garbage can lids and try and keep this thing in the center. Well, they were spinning so fast that the metal was busting through the Kevlar.
Oh.
So they had already gone to two other design companies, and they kept reinforcing this Kevlar and overstitching and doing all this crazy stuff. And when they brought it to me, I looked at their drawings and I went, oh, this is simple. And I just eliminated the stitching and put a fold where it was blowing out.
Huh.
So I built them to their specs, and then I built one to my specs. And when the engineers showed up to pick them up, I showed them my design, and they went, oh, fuck. Why didn't we think of that? It was just so simple. They over-engineered the shit out of everything.
Well, that sounds like the military, though, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, so I want to jump way back, though, because I think we definitely jumped the gun and got way ahead of ourselves. You started out in my favorite sport on the planet a few years back.
I did.
You've been in skydiving for a little while. When did you find skydiving and doing? I'd call it extreme sports, but back then it wasn't extreme sports. It was just doing stupid shit, right?
Yeah. It still might be stupid in some people's eyes, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. So how did the journey begin for you?
I grew up, it must have been like in the 60s. There was a black and white TV show called Ripcord. And I don't remember like the storyline or any of that, but I remember these guys parachuting basically. And then every summer, there was a demo. Would have skydivers jump into the ball field at our ball games.
And this was where in the States?
Freeport, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Small town, 1,200 people maybe. Everybody knew everybody's business. But the local ball team would have these exhibition jumpers come in. And I'd watch these guys come in downwind under their rounds and just hammer. But it just looked like something I always wanted to do. I got drafted in 1971. I ended up in Fort Huachuca, Arizona, down by the border of Mexico. And there was a guy that I was stationed with from Texas, Jimmy G. Watson. He was a crop duster pilot.
Okay.
So he said, let's go into Tucson. I'll rent a plane and take you for a ride. And I'd never been in a small plane before and thought, oh, this is cool. Let's go. So he rented out this little acro plane, took me up. He's flying through the desert, touching the wingtips on mesquite bushes, flying under power lines, like crop duster pilots do.
All right.
He shut the engine off once and landed, dead sticked it in on a dirt road out in the desert. He says, hang on, I'll show you what I just learned. He was taking some acro lessons.
Oh, Lord. So
he was doing a hammerhead stall. I think that's when you dive the plane and then you pull up until it stalls and you pitch it over and it spirals down.
It's pretty close, yeah. Yeah.
Well, when he did that, I was in the back of this plane and I could see the back of his head, the dashboard, and the earth. And I thought, oh, that's just got to be the greatest picture. So I pulled out my camera and I said, do that again, Jimmy. Took off my seatbelt. I knew nothing about planes. And he pulls up and he goes into this hammerhead and I'm bouncing all over the cockpit. I shut off the engine, cameras flying and everything. He goes, what the hell are you doing? I said, I want to get a picture. He goes, you never take your seatbelt off in a plane. So that was my introduction to negative G's, I guess.
That's a hell of an introduction.
We saw a couple airplanes or a couple canopies out in the distance. I said, let's go check that out. So we went over and landed, and there was a first jump course. It was $40.
Oh.
So we signed up right then and there, static line. Made our first jumps. I landed. I said, I want to do this the rest of my life. I bought a parachute right then and there for $90.
Now, this was back when they had the old military surplus, right?
Right.
Oh, Jesus.
And what attracted me was it was real high overcast that day, and relative work was coming of age. People were barely getting 8-ways. It was a big deal to get an 8-way. And I watched the Twin Beach go across, and I watched 8 people get out of this with this high overcast, so I could see the little dots up there.
Sure.
And the distance between the first guy and the last guy, it's like, that last guy is flying. He's not falling. He's going horizontal.
Yep.
I want to fly. Because a lot of us have had those flying dreams.
Sure.
You know, I'm sure you've had them.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, that's what I want to do. So I was into horizontal movement. And with today's wingsuits, my dream has come true.
Oh, it's insane. The jump forward, I mean, because you're talking all the way back in like the gypsy moth days, right?
Yeah.
This is, I mean, everything was experimental back then. I mean, I've heard stories from some of the OGs that talked about what an amazing time it was that someone had passed a baton in free fall. And this was not that long ago, really. It really wasn't. And now we're flying down the sides of fucking mountains on canopies or on wingsuits that glide almost as good as canopies.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it had me going so much. I built my first wingsuit in 1974. I laid down on a bed sheet, and I spread my arms and my legs kind of like a jumping jack. So my arms are way above my head, right? I had my mother trace me out, and I sewed this thing up, and it was basically a wing from my ankle to my wrist, nothing in between the legs.
All right.
And 90-some people had already died on those early gypsy moth days.
Sure.
And a lot of their problems were spinning or not being able to get their handles.
Right.
So I thought, okay, I'll put a shock cord, a bungee cord in from my ankle to my wrist, and that'll give me flexibility. I'll be able to get my belly mount reserve and pull all my handles if I need be.
Sure.
So I went out and I jumped this thing, and the bungee cord stretched and stretched and stretched to its max, and then it shrunk. And then it stretched and it stretched to its max and shrunk. So I didn't go anywhere. I just went down.
All right.
Inflate, deflate, inflate, deflate. So it failed. I only jumped it that one time because I didn't really go anywhere.
All right.
And then in the year 2000, the first modern wingsuits came out. So I bought a Birdman Classic. And since then, in the last 20 years, I've probably made 5 or 6 belly jumps. It's been nothing but wingsuits for the last 20 years.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I've got $20,000 worth of wingsuits up in my bin.
That's
the
fantastic.
technology keeps changing, you know. You got to play catch up because there's always something new and better.
For sure. Now, you said when you started jumping, you were drafted in the military, so you ended up doing a stint in the military, yeah?
2 years, yeah.
So how did the jumping play in after that? I mean, you get to do that first jump course, but you're still belong to Uncle Sam at that point. So how did you transition into becoming a full-blown skydiver?
Well, after I was stationed in Arizona, I ended up in Maryland. That was about 5 hours from my parents' house. I had about 24 jumps, and the local drop zone in Maryland, their Cessna only went up to 3,500 feet. Well, the drop zone back at my hometown, they went up to 7,500 feet.
Big time.
So every weekend I'd drive the 5 hours just to go and get that extra altitude and visit my parents and a place to stay and all that.
Sure.
So I ended up with doing that 5 hours of travel. Got out, moved back in with my parents. They thought they'd get me all on track and send me to a tech school and, be a machinist and how it's supposed to be.
Right.
That didn't happen. They forced me into it. I flunked out to show them who was boss.
Sure, of course. Of course.
And then they finally resigned to, okay, well, this is what he does, but he's, we're not going to feed him for the rest of his life. He's got to do something.
I mean, well, what did they think of that? Because, you're talking about a time when, even now, if a kid comes back to mom and dad and says, I want to be a professional skydiver, they're going to be going, what the fuck did we do wrong? But you're talking about back in a time when being a skydiver was just nuts. Nobody did this.
Oh, they were ashamed of me because the whole small town, is your crazy son still jumping out of them parachute thingies? My son works at Oberg's. He's a machinist. I'm a grandfather, all this stuff. And
Right.
No, they weren't happy. So 1974, I bought a brand spanking new Volkswagen Beetle.
Mm.
Back then, a brand new car was $2,000. Can you imagine? So I bought this brand new car. I took all the seats out except the driver's seat. I built a little home in there and actually lived in there for 8 winter seasons.
Wow. 8
And
years in a
traveled around the
VW
country.
Beetle.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Traveled around the country. Became a parachute rigger. I was one of the first tandem masters before drugs.
Yeah, man. I've seen some old photos and stuff like that. I can't even imagine what the opening shock must have been like on every single jump.
Oh, brutal.
Fuck.
I took a guy once. I'm just a peanut. I'm like 5'6". I took a guy that was like 6 something, and he went out and he just went stiff like a plank. So we're tracking across the sky at 180 miles an hour.
Right.
Norm Kent is next to us filming, trying to keep up, And Moe goes for a ride. I'm hammering and beating on this guy, trying to get him to, arch. There's only one way to stop this: deploy.
Right.
Boom!
Oh, Jesus.
But basically, I couldn't take it. I was too small stature, and without the drug, they were controlling me. So yeah. I didn't last very long as a TI. I was one of the first AFF instructors before USPA accepted it. I was part of a trial with New Dimension Flight School in California and Paris.
Oh, okay, cool.
And these guys, the one guy took his girlfriend and pretty much said, we're going to teach her how to jump by holding on to her and putting a radio on so we can talk her down later on.
Sure.
So I was a part of that.
Wow. Well, and that eventually got pushed into, it was Roger Nelson, wasn't it, that really pushed for AFF, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he took both of his kids when they were 4 and 5 years old or something like that.
Yeah, because I remember I talked to Melissa, and she said the same thing, that AFF was not a thing yet, and the USPA was against it, and Roger just basically said, fuck you, I'm going to do it the way I want, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, and you know what, that's what I really like. I think he may have even been on the USPA board. I know. I think Bill Doss was at one time, and Bill wanted to do things, of course, Lodi.
Yeah. Oh,
Bill
man.
wanted to do things his way. USPA is like, no. Bill went, well, fuck you. I'll do it myself.
Yep.
You don't have to belong to USPA,
So I wanted to ask, because we've exchanged emails back and forth, and you always sign off with the same thing, which is a statement that most people nowadays in skydiving would cringe at, but it still makes me laugh. You keep saying boogie till you bounce.
Boogie till you bounce, yeah.
So and I want to ask, because you come from the original generation of skydivers, not parachutists or people that just jumped out of airplanes, but you were a fucking skydiver. And you came up when the boogies were huge in the World Free Fall Convention, and people were bouncing a fair amount. And this dark sense of humor kind of was all throughout the sport. And of course, nowadays skydiving's a lot more politically correct than it was. But back then, boogie till you bounce and blue skies black death was just kind of the norm, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. When we were doing big formations, another one of our sayings was "get in or go in." If you didn't get going in was easier on you than taking the punishment from your 40 or 50 other buddies saying, "You fucker, you didn't get in."
Right.
Yeah.
Get in or go in. Jesus Christ.
But it was almost like laughing at death. And if you think about it, it's happening around us all the time. Nothing against these people, but I know you interviewed some families and stuff, and how they've balanced in a way like, oh, I'm having a kid, and should both of us be in the airplane? Or, well, do all three of you get in the car together?
Sure.
When I'm driving a car, everybody's trying to kill me. When I'm jumping out of a plane, I'm only trying to kill myself.
Sure.
I
like that. Well, I mean, you started out, and it's still to this day one of my favorite T-shirts ever in skydiving was, I remember when sex was safe and skydiving was dangerous.
Right.
And that's when you started, man. I mean, and I want to know, because I had the opportunity to talk to Bill Booth briefly on the podcast. He did a great episode, and I briefly got into how wild it used to be back in the days. But I mean, you've seen some shit. I mean, the boogies and the parties must have been out of control.
I believe that I know the guy that coined the term safety meeting.
Seriously, come on, tell me.
Frank Miller, I guaranteed. My days, these were the hippie days.
Right.
We all had long hair, bell bottoms, In fact, jumpsuits were mainly to protect you from crash landing and whatever, and eventually it became a flying tool.
Right.
Well, to look cool, people put bell-bottom jumpsuit on. And then they realized that, that extra drag on your legs could give you forward drive.
Sure.
Let's put them on our arms. So we had these bell-bottom and bell-arm suits that actually had a function to them.
Yep.
I have no idea where I was going with that.
You were about to tell me how the safety meeting got started.
Oh, Frank, yeah. And this was a hippie guy of mine, and we were getting ready to go up on a jump, and he said, well, shouldn't we get safe first? And they're like, what do you mean safe? He goes, oh, come on down to the van. And we went down to the van and, fired up.
Awesome.
And it got everybody, got the jitters away from everybody and calmed everybody down and put them all on a even keel, so to speak. The only problem is with all these safety meetings, you'd have brain locks because you'd forget what the points were.
Right, for sure. Well, I remember Bill telling me one of the best things about learning how to jump in the 60s and 70s was the drugs were better.
Yeah. Oh, you knew what you were getting,
Yeah, that's what he's like. Yeah, it was fantastic. The drugs were much better back then. I mean, so the events and the parties and the stuff has changed a lot since it was all getting started out, especially because you kind of came up in the 60s, but you've seen the entire progression of the whole sport and the culture behind it. And what's good and what's bad about what's changed to you?
I don't see anything bad. I think it's just part of the evolution, just how things change.
I mean, the safety aspect of it is through the roof. It's so much better.
Well, again, I think that's just knowledge. We have the equipment doesn't fail us anymore. Our brains is what fail us.
Sure.
So in that respect, the equipment got much safer.
Sure.
And then the same thing as we go along and people survive and we live from other people's mistakes or deaths or whatever.
Sure.
That's all schooling for us, just like it is today.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a different era, but same old shit. When your body hits the ground, you still die. Nothing's changed.
What's the old, it was the really horrible phrase, grab the grass?
Right.
What was
something about hang on so your bones don't shatter your lungs or something?
I think it was, if you know you're going to go in, make sure you grab the grass because it's not the first hit that kills you. It's the bounce that gets you.
The second one bounce, right? Yeah.
That's that fucked up sense of humor that I see it fading a little bit, and it used to be really prevalent in a lot of the writing that I did with Blue Skies, and I've backed off of it a little bit because people don't seem to enjoy it quite as much, but I still have a very dark sense of humor.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I love it, and I've shared the magazine with you. I was writing with them since I think 2012 or 13, somewhere in there.
Yeah, for sure.
And I've always looked forward to your fucking pilot articles for sure. Because the thing is that's what I like about you, Dean, is you're for real.
It's just, yeah, I mean,
it's just so much easier not to put up any airs and be for fucking real.
Well, I mean, I think you get it, though. People see through that shit so quickly when you're trying to pretend. And especially in skydiving, I always took to skydiving specifically because you got to drop your guard on the drop zone and just be yourself. And I mean, you know more than anything, the sport is a small sport, so you get to know people really, really quick. And so if you all of a sudden start behaving like somebody else, somebody's going to call bullshit and go, fuck you. I remember when you were wearing that tutu and doing this or that or the other thing, so stop trying to, don't be that way. So I just never saw the value in faking it in the first place.
Yeah. Never
made any sense. Now, I'm going to back you up again. So we got through, you were going to do the TI thing and you were doing AFF and stuff. But when did you were fully invested, obviously, as soon as you started living in a Volkswagen Beetle in skydiving. But how did you make your way in skydiving? Because you're talking about, the early 70s. So where did the work come in? How did you survive?
Well, when I was living in my car, that was for the winters. So during the summer, I had a place to stay. It was either my parents' basement or a garage or something like that. And I started buying sewing machines. And I never really had a plan. I just followed my passion, and I was actually packing reserves and doing rigging before I was a rigger. A friend of mine was a rigger, and he was helping me pack mine. And eventually I was packing mine. And then my buddies would say, hey, will you pack mine? And then I'm there, well, okay. And then I started to realize, well, if I'm going to take somebody else's ass and put it on the line, I should really be certified and know what the fuck I'm doing.
Sure.
So I took one of Dave DeWolf's, the late Dave DeWolf's courses. He's probably taught more riggers around the world than anybody. And I was in one of his very first rigging classes. And then just started to gather up sewing machines, and I started toying and playing, just, again, no plan.
Sure.
I ended up building about 70 Wonder Hogs copies. And the Wonder Hog was the predecessor to the Vector.
Yep.
So Bill Booth had come out with, a soft pilot chute with no springs on it. We called them piggybacks at the time, a rig that had a main and reserve on your back.
Sure.
And I tore one apart, and I made about 70 of them. Totally illegal, no TSOs, just made them for my buddies at the drop zone or whatever.
Right.
I ended up at a Nationals one year, and Bill Booth was the equipment inspector. So I thought, uh-oh, here goes. We're going to see what happens now.
Right.
Well, at the time, his rigs were so popular, as they are today, that it took forever to get one. And
I'm trying to picture this. You're walking up and handing him a copy of his design.
Well, I am. Now, the sketchy part is he was so busy at the time. When you ordered one, it had to be a black harness, and it had to have black binding tape. You could get colors everywhere else, but that saved him time in production. So you're not changing out sewing machines, you have the same fabric, you can pre-make harnesses, stuff like that.
Sure.
So I show up with a white harness with white binding tape and these colors, and he looked at it, and he just went, those fuckers, they're always doing favors for people. That's why we're behind. I'm never hiring skydivers again. And he never looked at the packing data card or the TSO. He just threw it back in my face and said, get the fuck out of here. So I actually told him that, I think last year at some PIA convention or something, I flattered him and told him that I made 70 copies of his rig and told him about that particular incident there. And I guess, 50 years later, he's not too angered about it.
Yeah, it'd be kind of tough to get mad at this point, but I suppose it's, what is the old saying? It's better to ask forgiveness than permission.
Yes, yeah.
So 70 rigs, man, that's no small chunk of cloth to sew together there. That's a big fucking job.
Yeah, and it just snowballed into eventually building base rigs. So I was one of the first manufacturers of base-specific harness container systems.
So now when you did that, what were you taking your innovation from? Just because you knew it was going to be a single canopy system, and so you kind of worked around that?
Well, I made my first base jump at a bridge day, and I think it was 82.
Okay.
And it was pretty much people were skydiving off the bridge with a few modifications. Big
Sure.
pilot chute, long bridle, mesh slider, something like that.
Sure.
And I was watching horrible body positions, crappy pack jobs, fuck up after fuck up, and the shit was still working.
Right.
And I thought, wow, if we had like specially designed gear and if we took a little more attention to detail, this could be at least safer than it is.
Sure.
Not safe. It's safer than what we're doing. We're
Right.
skydiving off a bridge. No. Well, at the time, Carl Banish was alive, and as was Jim Handberry, and they came up with a Velcro closed rig.
Yep.
So it was a container, and they would either zip tie it on to an existing harness or hand tack it on or something like that. So there wasn't really a rig that was a harness container from scratch.
Sure.
They were just taking these containers, and there wasn't that many. It was only Carl and his buddies, so there might have been, if a dozen of those containers out.
Wow.
And at the same time, they were pretty prehistoric. They were like 1.5 feet thick. They were big, bulky, not very aerodynamic containers. So I came out with a rig that I called the Edge. And you could get it in black, or black with your choice of black. Small, medium, or large.
Nice.
So I could really shit these things out.
Sure.
And just word spread. I had no website or no technology like that. And just word of mouth. I was selling them all over the world.
Wow. Well, I mean, base jumping fucking just took off like crazy because the first time I ever saw base jumping in person, I was at the 96 or 97 Bridge Day. I went there with a guy by the name of Will Forshey, who hired me to film all the landings. And so I saw a lot of people that should have been dead that walked away from it.
Yeah.
And all of them on base gear or most of them on base gear by then. But I mean, it just mushroomed and went out of control. You must have been working your ass off if you were basically the first one putting out a container.
Well, I was. And then when other people started to see that there was room for competition, it started to happen. So a handful of other people started doing the same thing. And then when I saw now these guys are having, you can get whatever colors you want. You can get monograms. We became into the look at me generation. And it's like, well, these guys, they've got to have every color of the rainbow of thread, every color of the rainbow of binding tape, webbing. Now all their money's tied up in stock. I said, you know what? I don't want to compete.
Right.
So I just backed off and let them have it.
Jesus. I mean, come on. You sewed together the first wingsuit what year?
74.
74, you sew yourself up a wingsuit. Then you sew together the first fucking base rig. What didn't you start? That's awesome.
Well, the same thing with base jumping. It was, pretty egomaniacal.
Sure.
And I just couldn't handle those kind of people, the me generation. So a lot of my base jumps were alone. And I grew up as a woodsman, hunting, fishing, trapping, taxidermy, making my own bullets, all that stuff. I was an outdoorsman. So
Nice.
I liked the wilderness base jumps. But what I found is I'd be in the mountains and maybe hike for 4 or 6 hours and get on top, and it's not jumpable and it's not survivable.
Right.
And do I want to hike back down? Do I take the risk of jumping off? Do I freeze my ass off and try and survive the night? um, so I was doing stupid and unsafe things. So I came up with a rig that I designed, and I called it the Parapack. And I just took one of my base rigs and I made it expandable so that it would expand away from your back and give you a storage area about a foot thick.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I could hike into the mountains and take my tent, stove, sleeping bag, fishing pole, binoculars, first aid kit, everything I needed. I could survive in the wilderness for 5 to 7 days
Oh, shit.
and then jump all this shit off.
Wait, so you're jumping off? You're doing a base jump with your tent on your back?
With like another 40 pounds on my back, yeah. And then that just turned into, I was taking clients like into Yosemite. I took a 350-pound guy up El Cap for his birthday.
Jesus Christ.
So it's like a 5-hour hike. And I told him, I said, Bill, it's 5 hours, but we can take 5 days if we need to. I said, I got everything we need. Home, shelter, food, all that kind of stuff. What do you want me to bring for you? Anything special? And he went, Twinkies and cigarettes. So as a joke, I brought Twinkies and cigarettes. I have a picture of him laying in the trail with his shirt up and this big old pot gut belly pulled out of him eating Twinkies and smoking cigarettes.
Jesus God. Oh man. I mean, so you yeah, please go ahead.
Well, eventually, that system, Basic Research was one of my competitors at the time in base gear, who is today Apex Base.
Yep.
I got together with them. We designed the first actual base-specific canopy. And then we co-redesigned my Parapack because it was a Velcro closed rig back then. It could kill you at terminal if you didn't know what you were doing. So I only sold them to a handful of my friends who I spent time with in the mountains, and I could hand one-on-one show them how to not kill themselves with this rig. Eventually, when Apex and I redesigned it, it became a pin rig. So they manufacture and sell that today.
Very cool.
And
now,
then I get some.
When you help design the base-specific canopy, and I've never asked this, what goes into base-specific as opposed to just a normal skydiving canopy?
Well, one of the biggest things is low aspect ratio. The higher aspect ratio, the wider it is, left to right, and the narrower front to back, the more chance of off-heading openings.
Okay.
It's a higher performing wing, basically. You're taking a sailplane wing opposed to a short, chubby wing.
Sure.
So when Ram Air parachutes came out, we were calling them squares because they were almost square.
Sure.
Front to back, left to right. So a base canopy specifically, what we were shooting for, we just took the most popular skydiving canopies that were being used at the time, and we beefed them up and made little changes and particulars to those to satisfy our needs in base.
Now, with base-specific canopies, is that's kind of what's morphed into the wingsuit specific canopies nowadays?
That's even another, I'd say, subgroup.
Okay.
The wingsuit specific canopies, since we're not opening next to the object anymore, and we're jumping in maybe more windy conditions or whatever in the mountains, we want to be able to penetrate and we want to be able to make that landing area. So a wingsuit specific base canopy might be a little higher performing than your average base canopy that you're going to go into the city and jump off the building with.
Sure.
So it's kind of like another subgroup, I would say.
And now, is all this stuff, especially when it comes to the design stuff, are you just kind of learning as you go along through the years? You're just picking up little tidbits here and there, or did you have any formal training prior to?
Um, I'd say the community, just feedback from what other people were getting with what we had. Um, in the 80s, I had a consulting job for Precision Aerodynamics. George Galloway, owner of the company, wanted to produce a reserve packing video,
Okay.
which it was a big deal back then because VHS was like, whoa, it's like, wow,
Right.
we can see stuff. So instead of trying to interpret verbiage on a mimeograph sheet of paper that for packing instructions, George wanted visuals. So he took his Raven reserves and he got all the manufacturers together, UPT, just everybody that had a container system that wanted to be part of the project. And I was the on-camera rigger to pack George's canopies into those containers. Well, when the job was done, there were 13 reserve canopies there, all identical. And he gave those to me in trade for payment for doing this job. So I had 13 identical Raven 2s. So I took them home and I modified them to our standards at the time for base. So at the time, that became a very popular base canopy, partly because it was a reserve,
Right.
but it had a bridle attachment on it. Most reserves don't have a bridle attachment because he was selling his product as you can jump it as a main or a reserve. Every time you jump your main, you know what's in your reserve.
Sure.
So having that bridle attachment was a plus.
Sure. I mean,
And then as time went on, we came up with more base specific stuff as we have today.
so now you said that the last 20 years you've been all about wingsuits. How much base jumping did you get in before you started getting back into the sky more, or was it an even mix? Or
I tell people that I skydive to stay current for base jumping. I consider myself a parachutist. I use a parachute to save my life.
Cool.
Whether it's jumping off of or out of, I'm using a parachute to save my life.
nice.
So that's kind of the way that I looked at it.
What was your first base jump? Was Bridge Day, you said?
It was Bridge Day, yeah. A friend of mine in California, I was rigging for this guy, and he was a multimillionaire. He's got a kind of an interesting story. He taught me a lot about life and giving. He just passed away about a month ago.
Oh.
He grew up as a little rich kid and had way too much money. He woke up on his bathroom floor, overdosed from cocaine and tequila,
Jesus.
almost dead. His pet python was dead from neglect. His pet monkey was dead from neglect. Again, this kid had too much money.
Yeah, he did.
Well, when his dad realized that my kid's a fuck up, he cut him off. So now he had nothing.
Right.
He bought a typewriter for $25. He and his girlfriend rented a garage. He started an insurance company, became a multimillionaire, got off all the drugs and alcohol and everything like that.
Right.
This guy, he took two young gangbangers that were going to go to jail. He took them off the streets and convinced the judge that he would take care of them. Those two young boys run his company today. They put their siblings through college. This guy, Ralph, he's an amazing guy. I kept seeing him buy clothing for little girls all the time, and he didn't have a little girl.
Right.
Well, his best friend had a heart attack and died, and he ended up raising his two daughters.
Oh, wow.
All this guy did was give back, give back, give back. Well, when he heard about Bridge Day, he goes, "Hey, what's this bridge thing? Let's go check that out." And I said, "Ralph, I don't know anything about that." He goes, "You're a rigger, figure it out." So we went down there with our skydiving gear, basically modified, and made that one jump. And then that's what enlightened me. Like, this sport needs, base-specific equipment.
Sure.
So that kind of got the ball rolling there as far as...
So when you built the first base rig, were you the one doing the test jumping?
It was. It wasn't that big of a deal, though, because the shrivel flap, which is Velcro that holds everything shut, the technology behind that Jim Hanberry had already figured out. So mine was just a more sleek design that was a harness container complete system.
Sure. Now, this is back in the beginning of base jumping as well. That, I mean, it's obviously still very frowned upon in a lot of places, but back then you were a full-blown fucking criminal if you were going out and flicking buildings and stuff. So, I mean, you're trying to run businesses while you're also doing this cloak and dagger stuff as well?
Yeah.
You gotta love it.
Yeah. I've spent my time in jail and been chased by the cops a lot. I was chased through the Arizona desert for 4 hours with a helicopter and a SWAT team with guns for jumping off a bridge.
Are you serious? What the
Yes.
fuck? What? Now, I assume that they caught you with all that.
They did. My buddies and I had jumped, and we were packing on the sandbar below, and this roving sheriff, right out of the book, this guy's got the tan uniform on, the badge, the aviator sunglasses, just Buford.
Yep.
I wrote a story in Blue Skies about him, basically, named Buford. And he got a loudspeaker out and said, "Come on up, ladies, you're all under arrest." And we looked up and said, "Okay, when we get packed, we'll come up." And I said to my buddies, he's not going to come down here. We'll just hike up the canyon. We'll sleep in our gear tonight. Might be a little rough, but he's not going to come down here.
Right.
So we packed up. We started hiking up the canyon. And little did we know, but on both sides of the canyon was a dirt road. So the next thing you know, we hear some rocks. We look up. He's up there. "Come on up, ladies." We're there. Fuck. So we go up the canyon further, and it teed out to a T. We could go left or right. We went right, followed this dry, sandy stream bed up, and found one lonely mesquite tree, shade. We're in the Arizona desert.
Right.
So we start to hunker down in there, and we're feeling pretty good about here's where we're going to spend our night. And I hear a helicopter.
Jesus.
And I'm thinking, surely that's not for us. All we fucking did was jump off a fucking bridge. Come on. Well, it flies right over top of us. We can see up through the glass bottom and the bottom of the bubble. And next thing you know, I hear this crunching. Guy comes up over the hill in a SWAT uniform with the gold SWAT letters on his hat, gun out. "Come on out, ladies." What the fuck? I come out with my hands up. I said, "Sir, what did we do that was so wrong that you're pointing a gun at me?" And right then the sheriff showed up and he went, "You jumped off my bridge." I went, okay, put the gun away,
Jesus Christ, man. That's a bit over the top. A little bit.
Yes.
Oh,
So they
my-
chilled out a little bit and ended up paying a big fine for that, going to court.
Oh, Jesus. Well, it just, none of that makes sense. I mean, I remember hearing the story of Frank after he had jumped off of El Cap, landed, and was running away from the Rangers because he didn't want him to take his gear. And, of course, he ended up drowning in the Merced River. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
all because he jumped off a cliff, which people fall off of climbing all the damn time.
Right.
I don't understand that stuff. Now, you said that you did a lot of your base jumping backcountry and you did some pretty sketchy shit. I got to hear, there's got to be a number one on that list. What was the outright stupidest fucking thing you did?
There's probably a lot of ties in there.
I'll take the top two.
I'll tell you what, my first wingsuit base jump was pretty scary.
Okay.
Terrain flying, proximity flying, there wasn't even a name for that yet. It didn't exist.
Right.
And my first wingsuit base jump, that's what I did, not by choice.
Oh, no.
So I had a Birdman Classic, which was a very small suit.
Sure. I remember it.
Had plenty of skydives on it. Felt good with it. I went up to Half Dome in Yosemite. The vertical on Half Dome is about 1,800 feet. And then there's a 3,000 foot talus, and it's about a 60 degrees roughly slope. And it steps down in like three steps, like three layers. And went up there with my Parapack system. So not only was my first wingsuit jump, I have 40 pounds extra on my back, a very non-aerodynamic container, it's a foot thick.
Right.
and exiting at 10,000 feet. So the density altitude,
Yeah.
has a lot to do with your launch and everything. I launched off there, ended up going head down. I'm there, fuck, this isn't going to work.
Right.
And I thought, well, when I pull out, it'll be a regular jump, and I'll just deploy. Well, when I pulled out of the dive, you know what happens then? It converts into horizontal, and the fucking thing took off.
Sure.
So here I go. All right, I'm flying. I've got to clear this ridge. So it's either like I have to pull or I have to clear the ridge. And I could see that, okay, I'm going to clear it. I cleared it. Now I'm in this belly of this first step. And it's like, here comes the next one. I'm either going to hit it or I go to pull. Same thing. I hung in there, cleared the second ridge. Third one's coming along. Same thing. I've either got to clear it, just barely got over it. As soon as I got over it, I deployed because the next thing is the Earth.
Yeah.
So I deployed, barely made it to my landing area. So that was a pretty scary, sketchy one there, I'd say.
I'm just picturing like the camping gear rattling around on your back as you're trying to clear these steps, like the little metal fork and spoon in the cup. And
right. Impact and the gas container explodes,
Yeah, dude. That's
talk about burning in, right? He burned in.
That's fucking great. That's like something you'd see in a Looney Tunes cartoon, man. the skydiving when the fucking Roadrunner and the Coyote jump out and pull the handle and all the dishes and shit would come out.
Right.
Oh man. How the fuck are you still alive with that? If that's like not even, if there's ties to that story, like there's better ones than that.
I just off the top of my head, I'd have to like really dig through my logbook or something. I don't know.
I mean, all right, so I get that that you had this rig designed to be able to do this outback stuff, but did you not think that perhaps that might negate the whole wingsuit part of it?
Well, I did. I mean, I was a hang glider pilot in 1974 as well, so I knew a lot about aerodynamics and flight and all that.
So you knew this was fucking crazy.
Well, I knew that it wasn't going to be efficient. It just wasn't a good idea to jump my first wingsuit with, 40 pounds on my back
Right.
and a brick.
Oh, wow. That's fucking
So
awesome.
that was just a bad choice. And, of course, luck.
Sure. Well, now has all your jumping or most of your jumping been in the States, or have you been abroad doing base jumping around the world as well?
Yeah, my main focus is wingsuiting now. So the last few years I've gone abroad. Didn't get to last year because COVID. They wouldn't, let us out of the country.
Of course.
And I'm jonesing like a big dog.
Sure.
But that's pretty much my true love is wingsuiting and in the mountains.
So now tell me, you've picked a sport that is primarily a younger man's sport, although a lot of the OG guys that got it all going are still going strong in their 40s and stuff. But you're a little bit older than that, and you're still going hardcore. What do all these young bucks think of this?
I don't think they think, because I think they were just doing what I was doing. When I was younger, age wasn't, it didn't have anything to do with what we were doing.
Sure.
A lot of the people that I looked up to that were 10 years, 15 years older than me and still doing it, I think part of doing it is what keeps you young.
Sure. Oh, no, I completely agree. I absolutely agree. I mean, that's probably my favorite thing about the sport is age seems to be completely irrelevant to most people. But I got to wonder, when you're standing up on top of the cliff with, a bunch of 21-year-olds or 18-year-olds anymore that are getting ready to do all this stuff, they must be going, shit, he's been around a little while.
I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing that I'm probably the oldest wingsuit base jumper, oldest active, let's say, wingsuit base jumper out there. I don't know too many people that are 69 years old that are still hucking themselves off mountains.
Exactly, but that's fucking epic. I mean, that's the thing, right? Is you really, I think it's that kind of thing that keeps you young. It's certainly that type of thing that keeps you mentally young, because you're still doing the same shit that you were doing when your parents were trying to disown you.
Yeah, and I think hanging out with the young kids keeps you young too.
For sure. For sure. It's
Um,
I tend to funny enough, I've slowed down a lot more than you have. I tend to live a little bit more vicariously through other people, especially when it comes to the base jumping stuff. I never got bit by that particular bug. About the time I was thinking that might be cool, I became a dad and kind of shut that one off. And now, honestly, it doesn't really grab me too much except to watch all my friends do it. So I'm happy to watch guys like you do it and go out and go balls out, because I just sit there shaking my head going, oh, fuck.
I'm still doing that because I'm pretty conservative. I'm still, these guys flying through the caves and doing all this insane stuff. It just totally blows me away. Flying
So,
blackjack into airplanes.
right, right. Now, let me ask you, because you've kind of seen both sides of it. You started skydiving back when, I mean, fatalities used to be part of a low pull contest, for fuck's sake. And now you move into this hardcore terrain flying and wingsuiting, and there's a huge rash of fatalities a few years back. I mean, really, really bad numbers in base jumping, specifically with the wingsuits. Is it a mentality thing? Is it because you've seen so much of it? Is it the same kind of mentality, just different gear that it was back in the day?
Um, I think from my own point of view is the way I look at death.
Mm,
I pretty much I want to be as safe as I can and everything, but you can only do so much. So the way I look at it is that's how we learn with these mistakes and death.
sure.
When I started skydiving, before that, I was a woodsman, and my telephone book was all my hunting buddies and fishing buddies. Well, they all went to the wayside, and I got a new phone book, and it turned into skydiving.
Sure.
Well, I have that today. This will be my 50th year if I live till November of skydiving.
Fucking congratulations, man.
But that's
This is my 25th year, so I'm exactly half of what you've got
halfway.
going. I'm halfway there. Fucking hell.
Um, so my outlook, was with the whole death and all that kind of stuff was that's just part of progression.
Sure.
Um,
It's
so
tough to
I
I mean, you've had to have seen a whole lot of loss in your time though. I mean,
well,
how'd you get
that telephone book that I had and I have today, there's probably very close to a dead person on every page, every letter of the alphabet.
wow.
Mostly in those early days of base jumping.
Sure. Sure.
There's the typical car wrecks and heart attacks and stuff like that, but it's a jump telephone book, and just about everybody in there for the last, decades are dead.
Yeah. I mean, has there ever been a time when you're scratching your head going, you know something, I don't know if this is for me anymore? I've had people that have walked away from the sport because they couldn't handle losing people anymore. But my mentality always was, even if I stop jumping tomorrow and never go to a drop zone again, I'm still going to lose people because I've spent 25 years of my life in the sport.
Right. Yeah. Life is death in slow motion.
That's a good way to put it.
We're all dying.
Yeah.
And the way I see it is we're all in this big long line. And every time somebody dies, we take one step forward until it's our turn.
Sure.
So, that one year where we had like 16 base jumpers die in like a few months,
Yeah.
I wasn't taking one step forward. I was almost fucking jogging, It's like, holy shit, I'm getting close. Close.
I never thought about it that way. That's actually a really fucked up way to look at it. Holy shit. I mean, don't get me wrong. I guarantee there's a fuckload of fun happening in that line, though.
Oh, yes. Part of my outlook on this whole death thing was, I think, when I was living in my car, I spent a lot of winters in Coolidge, Arizona.
Yeah.
And that was before, the big Eloy and all that. We called it Ghoulage because all the ghouls held out there. People were dying there left and right. Again, these were the hippie days.
Sure.
You could get a thing that was called the Monty and Link Skullcrest Award. There was two guys, Monty and Link. These guys went in a two-way, smiling at each other on acid. And so they were Monty and Link, a Skullcrest Award number 1 and 2. Well, if you wanted to get the number, you had to go in. So I never knew of any 3s or 4s or anything after that. But the way this little community at Coolidge laughed at death, these guys carried around, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but if you haven't, I'll send you the picture. These guys carried around a real human arm from the shoulder down to the fingertips. And it was petrified. It was like a piece of beef jerky, all stringy and straggly. And these guys would carry this thing around to all the meets. They would take it into restaurants and twirl and eat spaghetti with it. They would snort cocaine off the fingers. They carried this arm around. They'd stick it in the pea gravel with a ripcord in it. So I have that picture. I'll send it to you.
Please.
But these guys that was just part of Boogie Till You Bounce. It was.
Whose arm was it?
I never really knew. They said that somebody dug up an Indian grave. Somebody said it was a dead skydiver. I never got a solid. A real story on it.
It's funny because obviously having a slightly darker sense of humor, I think that's pretty fucking funny. I personally wouldn't walk around with a severed arm, but I would laugh at the stories, and I'll certainly laugh at the picture. But this is also the generation of Blue Sky's Black Death, which is I got in an argument online once about that statement because I am a fan and a user of that statement. Usually I just say blue skies, but I mean the entire thing, Blue Sky's Black Death. And someone was giving me shit or giving somebody else shit for using it, saying it was antiquated and it's bullshit and it doesn't mean anything. And I vehemently disagreed. You know, I was downright pissed off. I'm like, look, this is saying Blue Sky's Black Death to me is the same as telling a good friend that I love him. If I mean what it means, then it's a perfect thing to say. And it just kind of encapsulated the earlier skydiving mentality that I don't think it's lost. I think it just is not quite as in your face as it used to be. For me.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think, again, it's like, how do you look at life? What is life? How do you value it? How do you define it? And that's my definition. Life is death in slow motion. You know, as soon as you're scored out, you're dying already. It's just is it going to be a long, are you going to die at birth or are you going to die at 90?
Right. Oh, man. I mean, we're all going. I think we're just, especially as skydivers or as people that do things that the normal people, so to speak, consider more extreme, we're just kind of sucking the most out of life while we can. Yeah. At least I think so anyway. So now, you sent me the coolest fucking jerseys. You sent me a couple of cool T-shirts and a bunch of awesome stickers that say "Tailored for Survival." Where did this come from?
Well, again, 2 of those years I was living in my car with my girlfriend.
Wait, hang on, stop. You got a girlfriend to live in a VW Beetle, not a bus, Beetle with you for 2 years.
I took this girl away from $100,000 a year job and moved her into a VW Bug. And her dad said, "Have fun, honey," because his wife died at a young age. And he said, "Hey, if you want to live and go out and live and enjoy it, do it."
Jesus. Dude.
He said, "When you get to Arizona," he said, "call me up. I'll fly out. Put me up a tent." I have a picture of 3 of us in this Volkswagen Beetle. He's stretched out on the bed. She's all curled up in the back. Would put him up a tent, and he just loved it because he knew his daughter was truly living and alive, not just existing and rotting away, waiting to die or collect, that big bank account.
Yep. Shit, man, if I had a hat on, I would take it off to you. That's fantastic. Anyway, I stopped your story. So you're living in a VW Beetle with a girl for 2 years, and we were talking about the tailored for survival.
Yeah, I wanted to come up with a a good name for my business, basically, if you want to even call it that. And again, not wanting to be Moe's Parachutes, because I was working on hot air balloon repairs. I was sewing up just about anything. My mom's broken bras, whatever needed fixed, I was sewing.
Right.
So I didn't want to be limited to the parachute industry. But I wanted it to relate to custom, and that's how we came up with tailored, and then something that had to do with life support, survival. So I pretty much credit her to
That's
that.
fucking such a great story for a name. It really is. And it transitions back to how in the hell did you get with Tailored for Survival a gig designing something that's shredding vehicles and stuff for the military? How did that happen? How did they know to come to you to do this?
Again, it was just a lot of word of mouth. I don't know how that one exactly happened. They may have gotten the info through the wind tunnel that they were at.
That's just, it's fantastic. And I'll tell you what, it's one of the coolest things that I get talking to all the different people is getting such a bizarre kaleidoscope of different backgrounds and different shit that skydiving has taken people to that you would never expect. I would never expect that you'd end up designing, basically, hardware for the military because you decided to jump out of an airplane one day.
Right. Yeah.
It's fucking great.
And again, there was no plan or not searching for anything, just loving what I was doing. Never worried about how am I going to pay the rent or all I needed was a place for me and a place for my sewing machines.
Nice.
In fact, in 1991, I bought a brand spanking new Honda Civic, took all the seats out of it, lived in that full time for 3 years. All right. Well, I needed a home for my sewing machines. Well, Square One was just starting to blossom and become bigger. So they rented out this big warehouse, and they had their office and business area up front, and in the back was all their stock. Well, they had all this extra room back there. So I made a deal with Kate and Tony at the time. They knew I was going to die base jumping. They said, this guy's crazy. He's doing stupid shit. He's going to die. So I made a deal with them. I said, look, if you let me have my shop, give me a space in the back of your building there for free, and I can pull my car in there. If you do that, I will everything I own to you. All my sewing machines, everything that I have, I will write out a will. If I die, it's all yours. And they went, oh, hell yeah, he's going to die tomorrow. Write that fucker up. So I handed out a contract and a will, basically, and I won. I'm still alive.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though. You're the type that is going to outlive everybody. It's not going to be because you tried. It's going to be because you tried really hard not to outlive everybody and just kind of accidentally did. That's what's going to happen.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
I no plan. I don't know what's happening tomorrow. I just want to get in the plane or get back on the rock.
That's awesome. Now, when throughout this entire career and life did mom and dad accept or embrace what you did, or did they ever?
I think when it really kicked in is when I got into Hollywood and started doing stunts and movie jobs, because success to people from the Depression era, both my families came from coal mines and no education and all that. They only want education and money for their kids. So when they finally saw whoa, he's making money, and the whole hometown now is like, oh, your son's a movie star. Before I was the crazy fucker jumping out, out of them there parachutes.
Right.
I think that might have kicked in then. But even before that, they saw that I loved what I was doing.
Fair enough.
And I think they kind of got it, but they were always concerned about he doesn't have insurance, what happens and the money and
Of course.
understandable.
Oh, yeah,
Generation.
absolutely. Now, how did the Hollywood stuff start?
Tom Sanders, world famous aerial cinematographer. I ended up doing a couple of jobs for him. My first one was actually how I got my Screen Actors Guild, my SAG card. Again, base jumping was just coming of age. He got a contract for Mountain Dew, and it was a base jump into the Little Colorado, a tributary of the Grand Canyon. And on that job, he hired me as safety.
Okay.
And a friend of mine who is better looking and better for a Mountain Dew character to be on camera, Matt McCarter, he was going to do the actual jumps. But my deal with the production company was I get to jump as well, whether I'm on camera or not, I don't care. But I want to get my SAG card out of this.
Mm.
So that's how I ended up getting into the Screen Actors Guild, and that was one of my first jobs, basically.
Awesome.
And then Tom was getting a lot of stuff at the time, skydiving and base jumping. So I did a lot of ground crew safety or any specialty rigging for a lot of his jobs. Ended up doing about a dozen feature films, about 24 TV commercials, and television shows, specials.
Well, you did a couple of big films, didn't you?
Drop Zone was the big one.
And that was, if I'm not mistaken, was this not the base jump through the glass window?
It was.
Please tell the story.
That was 1994.
Please.
Well, I was hired on that job to double as Michael Jeter, short, balding, nerd, computer nerd looking guy. And what they did is this guy, he ended up making a lot of tandem jumps. Mm. They would tandem jump him into the top of buildings, and they'd break into the computers and all that. He was the nerd.
Right.
So I was hired initially to be a tandem passenger to make these jumps. And we're landing in, downtown Miami. We're landing in downtown LA. We're landing on roofs of buildings. A lot of, night jumps, jumping out over the ocean, just a lot of crazy stuff. There were no base jumps in the original script of the movie Drop Zone. And as time went on, the producers saw one of Tom Sanders's little put together films, and part of it was me jumping off some buildings. And they went, "Who is that guy?" And they went, "That's that little shit over there." And they come over to me and said, we were in Miami at the time, and they said, "So you do this base jumping stuff, right?" I'm there, yeah. And they said, "Do you think you could jump off that building over there?" And I said, "Well, I've been here for a month, and I've already picked the locks to the roof of that building, and the one I'm staying in. And the conditions haven't been good because we have this city that heats up during the day, all this concrete and glass and everything, next to a cool ocean. So there's always this heating, cooling. Even if it's not true wind, there's some sort of circulation. And base jumping in the city, I've got hundreds of building jumps, and rarely any of them have any wind at all. And I think that's a big part of why I'm still alive is a lot of people spend hours sneaking in, getting to the top, and now it's too windy, and it's like, well, fuck, what could go wrong? You rationalize your way into it.
Right.
I was that guy that either didn't go up or I climbed back down.
Nice.
So I knew how to say no. And that's what I told him. I said, "I've been trying to jump these buildings, so you're dreaming. If you think we're going to get this jump off, when you say action, I'm going to say, fuck you, because it's not safe."
Right.
I said, "So it doesn't matter how much money you're going to throw at me. I'm going if it's safe. If you guys want to try it, we'll try it." And they said, "Well, we'll go through the plan, and if it doesn't work, we'll go to a city inland later on and do it where the conditions aren't as unstable." So the story goes, they're trying to find one of the characters,
Right.
named Swoop. The original scene is a couple jumpers land on the New River Gorge Bridge, and they're trying to find this Swoop guy. They know he hangs out there, and they look over the railing and they see him hanging out down there. He's bathing, sunbathing naked.
Right.
And they talk him into getting on the team, and as he goes to climb up to join these guys, he falls off backwards, and a bungee saves his life. So that was the introduction to that character.
Right.
And they said, well, we want to change this. We want him to be a window washer. And the guys go up in this building, and they're yelling for Swoop, 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 and they see him washing windows. And we want you to do that. And then when you decide to join the team, we want you to turn around and base jump off. Can you do that? Well, yeah. So we spent 2 weeks setting up the scaffolding. During those 2 weeks, it was never jumpable. The winds were it was never there. The night before the jump, I had hired Patrick Swayze's brother, Don. He was one of my students. He was going to be the actual on-camera guy, and I was doing a belly mount camera jump. And they were doing a long shot of me, and they could erase out the camera and stuff.
Sure.
I got him hired on because he looked close to who the actor was. And we were packing our rigs that night, just laughing that we're not jumping tomorrow. We're going to get paid our $500 a day fee for doing nothing.
Right.
So, and who knows how long they're going to hold out until, it happens or it doesn't, but we'll take it.
Right.
The late Gus Wing came in while we were packing, and he said, "You're not going to believe it. I was over at the building. It's dead calm. There's a big black bird flying around the top, not even flapping or anything." He said, it's perfect out there. Next morning, we got up. The winds and everything were perfect. Made the jumps. As soon as we were done, the winds picked up. Game over.
Oh, man. Perfect timing.
So that was jumping off the scaffolding. So at the end of the movie, they decided to change the end of the movie as the final kill scene.
Right.
And that's where they land on the roof of a building. There's a big fight and everything. The one guy still has his reserve parachute on, Wesley Snipes.
Yep.
There's a big fight. He and Gary Busey come face to face. They're both out of bullets, and there's a fight. And during that fight, Snipes tackles Busey, crashes through a glass window from 300 feet, deploys his parachute, and drops Busey into an oncoming vehicle.
Yeah.
Can you do that? Yeah. Well, I always say yes. Then I have to fucking figure it out. So
Right.
how the fuck am I going to do this? So like any stunt, you break it down. Needed to figure out, okay, well, what do I use for a dummy? How am I going to deploy? Tell me about glass. I knew nothing about crashing through glass. So a lot of people think that you use the sugar glass, the candy glass. Well, if you're getting a whiskey bottle broken over your head, that's what they use. But if you have a big pane like that, a 4x8 sheet of glass, if you're crashing through that, there's no way to control the size of the chunks.
Okay.
So I could go out and deploy and have a good canopy, and this 20-pound chunk of sugar come through my canopy and take me out.
Sure.
So they said, well, we can do it with real glass. And there's a couple different ways to do that. They'll put explosive charges on the real glass, and there will be a guy standing parallel next to that. And right before I hit the glass, he blows it up.
Okay.
So I'm not actually breaking the real glass.
Right.
The glass is also tempered to a point where the pieces, when it shatters, are dime to quarter size. So it's consistent.
Sure.
I'm not going to have this big chunk coming out.
You're right.
So I asked them, I said, these explosion things, did they ever fail? And they go, oh, yeah, all the time. And I said, well, I'm going to be running from like 20 feet back, and I'm going to hit a solid chunk of glass, break it, and then drool down the building, right? And then Swayze chimed in, and it happened to him once. He was supposed to get shot with a gun and back into the glass and go through the window, and it didn't break, and he fucked up his shoulder. Well, the other method is they'll temper the glass, and then they can hit it with a sharp object like a punch, and hopefully it will shatter but not fall out. And then just by running through it, there's no force or anything. Sure. Or sometimes when they go to crack it, it just falls out anyway. Or if somebody opens or closes a door or sneezes or whatever,
sure,
it might not make it. So I went to the glass factory, figured all that out, got like 6 practice sheets to run through that I could practice running through with this dummy. And I just couldn't get it. I could get through and crash, but I knew that once I went through this glass, I was going to hit the gym mat.
Right.
And this dummy was like 40 pounds. It had a hard head, and I had to protect myself when I impacted the ground. So I couldn't get the next mental picture in my mind as to the visual imagery of how I wanted it to be.
Sure.
I needed a little bit of hang time. So one of my buddies, I put on a climbing harness with an attachment between my shoulder blades.
Right.
He had a climbing harness on. The rope went from his harness up through a pulley in the ceiling and back down to me.
Okay.
So he would be standing next to the window, and then when I would run towards the window, he would run away from the window towards me. So that when I went through the glass, his weight would suspend me for that microsecond and give me that visual and that feeling that I needed.
Sure.
So after doing a few of those, that got me to where I needed to be.
I mean, so you're not sure if the glass is going to break the way that it needs to. You're not really sure how you're going to get out the window with the dummy, and you're just base jumping.
Well, but I broke those things down to now I know what's going to happen.
Sure.
I know the glass is going to break because we've proven that.
Right.
You know, I know that my body position will be good because I had the practice, I was able to practice that and do that. Now it's just a matter of doing it.
So how did the actual jump go?
Well, they had, I think, 5 cameras going from different angles, some of which were to be done in slow motion.
Okay.
So if you're doing slow motion, that means the film is going really fast.
Right.
So there might be only like 1 minute of film, in the camera. So when we practiced, they would say, ground crew ready, camera 1 confirm back, rolling, camera 2, rolling. Well, by the time we got all this feedback and everything, there might have been like 20 seconds left
Right.
for me to make the jump. So it was critical. So we practiced that over and over and over and over again. When it came time to do the jump the next day, overnight, the producers thought, oh, we can save some time. We can crack the glass first and then get the cameras rolling. They were getting the cameras rolling and then cracking the glass. That was eating up precious time.
Sure.
Well, the fact that we had practiced over and over and over the original method, when it came time to do the real thing, they got confused. All I needed to hear when I was getting ready to go was, go when you're ready, Moe. There was a camera or a radio in front of me, a buddy of mine, and that's all I needed to hear. So I hear, go when you're ready, Moe. I pick up the dummy. I start to go, and I hear, stop, 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 no, 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 no. My buddy jumped back in front of me. No cameras were rolling.
Oh.
They were paying $20,000 for this shot. It doesn't get cheaper the second time around. No. You want to do it again? I'll do it again.
Jesus.
So I had no clue what was going on. So now my whole, mentality and everything is like, you just threw a big wrench into my gears.
Right.
So I have to admit I was a little bit amped at this point now. Once they cleared everything up and it was go when you're ready, Moe, I crashed through the window. I ended up going a little bit head low, and the dummy was dragging me down. Well, one of my feet caught a steering line on deployment, and I was lucky that the canopy still opened on heading. and it just kind of the luck factor.
Sure.
I think there's luck in everything we do, especially in skydiving and base jumping and driving cars and stuff like that.
Sure.
We're all lucky that we're here right now. So I pretty much lucked out on that one.
Oh man, it's funny that that you mentioned that particular jump and that movie and Point Break. Obviously, from my generation of skydivers, those were the two movies that I saw and was like, okay, I got to fucking do that. And both of them, of course, you look back at them now and I get a good giggle out of both movies because when you're not a skydiver, you have no idea that that's not how things are. You know, use your arms, Johnny, fly like an eagle. They're talking back and forth in that movie and, you know, everything that happened in Drop Zone, but you don't know. And then you get into skydiving and eventually look back at those movies and go, oh, Jesus Christ.
Right.
But then you hear about the stories of what went into making those movies are so much more intense than the movies themselves.
Well, at least on Drop Zone, John Badham, the producer of that, he's known for high adventure movies, and he's known for doing stunts as close as possible without cheating it with camera, with digital and stuff like that.
Right.
So that was the interesting thing about the movie Drop Zone. Most of the crazy shit that you see on there was actually done. It wasn't faked.
Which is like the raps. Are you kidding? I watched.
Oh yeah.
I watched that movie a couple of years back, and I'm like, Jesus Christ! They're intentionally wrapping somebody up in their. I mean, my God.
Yes.
Mental.
Yeah. And again, the breakdown for that, Guy Manos was intentionally wrapping Utah Steve. He'd go up and wrap him and back off, and then re-wrap him and back off and re-wrap him. The producers wanted him to get wrapped and then cut away, and then he's supposed to have this crash landing.
Right.
Well, it's like, okay, we took an old canopy. I sewed a pair of goggles into these canopies. And then after Steve opened, he could dress himself in this canopy and put the goggles on. That way he could see with having this canopy all over his head and face and everything, and still perform his crash landing.
Sure.
So there's a lot of little hidden things in behind there that little rigging tricks and things that we did along the way.
I'm going to have to watch that movie and pay really close attention this time. Like really close attention. Because it's those little stories that are fucking fantastic. You sewed goggles into the canopy. Still though, he's flying a parachute with another parachute wrapped around him.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, a little bit of luck goes into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, one area where they wanted us to deploy all at the same time without tracking on a couple of jumps. We said, look, we just can't. That's just too risky. We can't do that. That's something you're going to have to fake. The best we can do is when I see a deployment bag leave a container, I'll throw my pilot chute. And that's still sketchy.
Sure.
Because he might have a snivel, I might have a hard opening. Now we're on the same level and cabango,
Yep.
But as a stuntman, you take certain risks.
Sure.
But we're not all going to dump in a clump. That's
No.
for sure.
Now, Snipes, did he learn how to jump for that movie? Because I knew he learned how to fly at least to do the wind tunnel scenes. But he did some jumping, didn't he?
He did.
He wasn't like Swayze, because I mean, Patrick Swayze did all his own jumps for the original Point Break, but
Not all, but yeah, he did it. He did some, yeah. But no, Snipes did jump, as did Michael Jeter, the guy I was doubling for, the nerd.
yeah.
He had about 60 jumps.
Oh wow.
And they didn't want him to jump, though, because if he got injured, that just fucks everything up.
Sure.
But one day they pulled me aside and they said, listen, we want you to get all dressed in full wardrobe and everything and be ready. Michael Jeter is actually going to make a tandem, which wasn't a big deal with him, but still the producers didn't want that to happen.
Right.
But the guys in between were going, if the producers show up, we want them to think that it was you. So Michael Jeter goes up and makes this jump. Well, every day at the end of the day, they send the film to New York. It's called dailies.
Right.
They send them out to make sure they got the shot. If they didn't get the shot, they shoot it again. Well, at the dailies, the camera's right in Michael Jeter's face on exit. Norm Kent's just, it's not me.
Yeah. Well,
the producers saw that and said, "What the fuck?" And they said, "Michael, we liked it, but just please don't do it again."
The stunt guy's disposable. You're not.
Yes. So he actually ended up making a jump, and I think we took one of the second unit directors.
Nice.
On a jump as well, on a tandem. So he thought, like, he can do this.
Sure.
He's got 6 skydives. There's no reason it's safe,
Sure. Well, it's funny because, I mean, even now, I know that if actors and actresses are under contract at the time and they happen to be near a drop zone, there's been a few times that I've tried to get people that were working, doing filming and stuff, and they're like, "I'd fucking love to go jump, but I can't. I'm under contract."
Yeah.
They won't let them take the risk, which fair enough. I mean, but especially now these movies are, God knows how many millions of dollars to produce these things. So I suppose you don't want your actor going and snapping themselves.
They didn't even want Snipes riding his motorcycle.
Really?
But he did. In fact, he was a really, really cool guy. He invited us all over to his place for a party.
Nice.
And that's rare that an actor invites, the lowlifes over, but he understood he knew skydivers. He knew who we were, how we acted, how we looked at, our perspective on life and stuff.
Sure.
And he had a lot of that too, just being a motorcycle guy and
sure,
an adventurer too. So he got us.
That was another funny thing about that movie in particular too. Looking back on it, I remember when I watched the movie originally, thinking that the characters that they were, the way that they were portraying skydivers before I was a skydiver, I'm like, people can't actually act like that. And then of course I became a skydiver and went, oh, actually those are pretty mellow personalities.
Right.
By comparison, I'm like, that's actually pretty chill. So
right.
For anybody listening, if you have not seen the movie Drop Zone, you have to check it out. It's, if nothing else, it's a fucking good laugh, but it's actually a really fun movie. And now you're listening to somebody that did some stupid shit to make it happen. So you need to check it out. Now,
it is a pretty hokey story, but this, like I said, most of the stunts were for real.
Nice.
Very little stuff was fake. So as a jumper, you can at least appreciate that.
For sure. Well, I was lucky enough years and years after I'd started skydiving, I had the TV show Mythbusters came out to Skydance when I was jumping there to try and break the point break myths. And we had to see if you could free fall for 90 seconds from 4,000 feet. We had to see if you could talk in free fall, and we had to see if you could catch another skydiver if you jumped out 15 seconds later. So they took the dummy from the show. They called him Buster. We threw him out of the PAC 750 over the landing area at 4,000 feet, and of course watched him go in. And then I took one of the guys on a tandem with one of our camera guys trying to talk to him to see if we did that. And then had another guy jump out after I took the second guy, and he tried to bomb down to catch us. So it was just kind of a laugh that all these years later, I was on a TV show trying to bust the myths of the movie that got me to start skydiving.
Right.
Which I thought was fun as fuck.
I remember that, the Mythbusters. I remember that. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It was just a good time because I got to take both Grant and Tori, I think was his name, on the tandems, and my other buddies are trying to do this. And I'd been watching Mythbusters for a couple of years by then, so I was a fan of the show, and of course a huge fan of another very hokey skydiving movie, Point Break, which, and again, if anybody listening hasn't seen the original Point Break, dramatically better, other than the wingsuiting scene, than the new one.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the wingsuiting scene is badass. The rest of that movie's crap, I think. Anyway, so as a jumper that's seen it and been there and done that, I want advice from you to people that are just looking at getting into the sport, whether it be skydiving or skydiving on their way to base jumping, and people that are wondering if they should keep jumping. They're just kind of scratching their heads and going, I'm not sure what else I want to do with this. What advice do you have to those two groups of people?
If you're not sure, continue to go to the drop zone at least. Watch the landings, hang out, hang out at the fireplace at night. If the people fit, you're going to get into it. Because as you said in your shows, and you can ask anybody that's been doing this for any length of time, what do you like most about the sport? The people.
The people.
So if you're having trouble, actually we've got a couple people right now at my home DZ that I can see that in these newbies. They just got started last spring, last fall. So all winter, they don't have their A licenses yet, but they kind of get their magazines and they're still listening to videos. They're communicating a little bit. But I can almost see a couple of these people fading.
Right.
And when I see that, those are the ones I give the attention to. I want to give them that community feeling and let them know that, yeah, we all had those fears and we get over it. And remember how scared you were when you first got behind the wheel of a car?
Sure.
You were scared.
Damn right.
You had a weapon to kill somebody or to kill yourself if by choice or not.
Yeah.
And the same thing, getting up in front of stage, you're scared or you're nervous. But to overcome that makes you feel good.
Sure.
And then again, to be around these people where I tell people we've got anything and everything from crack whores all the way up to attorneys and brain surgeons.
And sometimes it's all the same person.
It's us. And when you're at that campfire, it doesn't matter if you're that crack whore or if you're that brain surgeon. When our bodies hit the ground, the same thing happens.
Yep. Well, the bonfire is the great equalizer, right? Because as soon as you sit down next to that bonfire, whether you're, smoking crack or busting crack dealers, you're all just a bunch of skydivers sitting around the fireplace, just shooting the shit. And that's the biggest thing. And I'm sure you've heard me say it a million times on this podcast. That was the concept behind this podcast in the first place, was I want it to be a bonfire chat. You're sitting and you were lucky enough to listen in to two different people talking about something they fucking love.
Yep.
Yeah. That's good advice, man. I mean, getting into the community side of things for the newbies, for sure. Now, what if you've been in it for a while and you're starting to get burned out? Is there a way for somebody to refresh it?
If there's a burnout, it's like, what's causing that? Do you need something new? So, if you've been on your belly for a decade and now, all the kids in the human blender standing on their heads and all the other crazy shit that's going on, do you want to progress to free flying? Do you want to sky surf? Do you want a wingsuit?
Sure.
You want a base jump? And I hear that one a lot. Like, oh, how do I get started base jumping?
Right.
Well, you already have by skydiving.
Yeah.
If you try and land in the same place, be finicky and understand your equipment and your gear. Base is very equipment oriented. Work your way into something new. Find somebody else that you can see that energy and connect yourself to their hip.
Sure.
Ask them for some coaching or training.
I had somebody else give a great piece of advice exactly like that, and they basically said, spot the person on the drop zone that looks like they're having the most fun and go figure out what the fuck they're doing. And if it's not something that you want to do, find somebody else that's having a good time and go and do it, which is, I mean, come on, that's what we're doing it for in the first place. Right. Yep. So now, how do people find out about the badass jerseys and stuff that you sent me? How do they find out anything involved in Tailored for Survival? How do they track down Moe Viletto? Good luck. Well, Blue Skies was when people wanted to know something, I'd say, Google Moe's Monday Memoirs. And it'll take you to Blue Skies magazine, and there'll be a bunch of stories on there, and you can learn about me and my antics over the years. Mm. Well, that's no longer. Blue Skies is no longer online. I don't really do any facey, tweety, any of that stuff. You and I you're lucky this is happening right now. I can't believe this is like first try. It's like, holy shit. Oh, I fucking love it. This is perfect. You know what you need to do, and specifically since Blue Skies isn't online, you need to start a fucking blog. You need just a page that you can sit down and type out these stories, because you've got so many amazing stories and a lot of heartfelt stories and a lot of crazy stories that should be shared.
Yeah, I have a hard time sitting down behind a computer. I really do. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's just.
It gets to be a bit mundane.
Let me tell you. Here's a good caveman computer story, right?
Please.
So for years, people could say, Moe, you should get a computer. You should get a computer. And I'm there, man. I said, that's not me. I can barely even run a cell phone.
Right.
I said, by the time I get a computer and learn how to do it, I'll already be dead. I don't want to waste my time, with the frustration of all that.
Right.
So one day, my buddy Tom, he brings up this 10-year-old Mac laptop. He goes, here, Moe, you can have it. And I said, Tom, if you give it to me, I won't respect it. I said, as soon as I have a problem, I'll throw a brick through it. He said, well, then I won't give it to you. I'll loan it to you. Then you have to respect it because it's not yours.
Fair enough.
So I said, well, he goes, let me show you a couple things. So he showed me, like, I can do a lot of rigging research on there. I can find out how to repair my sewing machines on there. I can communicate with my friends.
Yep.
Porn. Okay. Now you got me, right?
Endless porn. That's all the internet's for.
All right. So I take this thing. Now I'm addicted. I'm using it. I open it up one morning and the screen is black. I figured, okay, it's 11 years old. It's dead. But now I need one.
Right.
I have to have a computer because that's how I communicate. That's how I masturbate. That's how I do everything. I need a computer. So I call up my gay girlfriend, Cindy. I said, Cindy, I need a computer. Take me out shopping. We go out and I buy a brand new Mac, $6,000, Mac. Bring it back. And I say, okay, Cindy, I said, can we take the stuff off the old one? Like my pictures and stuff and communications, can we take it off the old one and put it on the new one? And as she's opening it up and saying that, well, if the screen is black, I can't see anything.
Right.
It's burned out. I can't help you. And she reached over and she started tapping this little button. It looks like the sun. It's called brightness. I didn't need a fucking computer. All I needed to do was turn up the brightness. So there I am, fucking caveman, not even knowing, what, same thing. I'm staring at all these buttons right now. I don't have a clue what half of them do.
Oh, dude, that's fantastic. But so now you got two computers. You can have one scene on one and one scene on another. You can be doing rigging and porn at the same time.
Well, that brand new one that I had, I took to Italy so I could put all my hot base jumping videos on there and everything.
See, there you
Lost
go.
It.
Lost it?
Lost it. Yep, brand spanking fucking new. Lost it. Came home, bought another brand new one.
Oh, Jesus. Well, hey, live and learn, right?
Yes.
Moe, I tell you what, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time. There's going to need to be a round 2 with you, though, because I know you've got so many fucking stories that I did not get out of you. We're going to have to do this again. You know that, right?
I'd love it.
Awesome. Awesome. Moe, really, thank you so much for waking up at the crack of noon and shooting the shit with me. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you're back to getting to jump off some rocks really damn soon.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. And good meeting and hanging out with you. And
absolutely.
Again, I like your style. I like how you look at life. And
you, Moe. Believe me, boogie till you bounce, right?
You got it.
Take care.
Adios.
Well, there you have it. Another episode of the Lunatic Fringe podcast brought to you as always by, well, wait, not as always, actually. Brought to you now by Gyro. Formerly known as NZ Aerosports, you'll head to gyro.com for their next level line of canopies. By Pussfoot, the Extreme Sports Collective. Head over to pussfoot.com to check it out. By Summit Parachute Systems, check out summitparachutesystems.com to talk to Jarrett Martin and the gang about kick-ass pilot rigs, rigging courses, and more. By Flyaway Indoor Skydiving. go to flyawaytn.com and check out all the cutting-edge stuff to come. Buy Pure Spectrum CBD. Head to purespectrumcbd.com to check out their wide range of CBD products. And as for us, head to the lunaticfringepodcast.com to listen to any of the hundreds of episodes currently available. Hit the link for our YouTube channel, pick up your copy of the Lunatic Fringe book or The Accidental Stripper, and get a sneak peek at upcoming guests. Once again, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Get on the floor, get on the floor, get on the floor, get on